We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I am your host, Afro Elite. Before we get started, please make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and leave a comment. Okay, hitting the share button is very important because that helps the reach and the growth of the channel. Make sure people know that we're live also, so you guys can, retweet this, put this on your Facebook, or share this to a family or friend. Now, as we're in here, as people are starting to pile in, I see our brother Grape Shot is in here. The history of immigration and how it affects Black Americans is not very good, is not a very good history. No, it's not. That's an interesting comment. I'm gonna circle back to that actually. War with Us, B1, our sister Royal Me, B1, our sister Darling Kiki, B1, and our brother Walter Wilborn, B1 to you. Now, to be honest, and that's an interesting comment that Grape Shop brought up, and shout out to him for bringing this comment up, because since the 1800s, immigration has been used against Black society. Early in the 1800s, I'm talking not early, back in the day, hundreds of years ago, in the 1800s, when they had the Homestead Act, where they invited a whole bunch of the poor Europeans over. The core reason for them to do that is anti-Black racism. That is the core reason they decided to do that. They did that because, okay, the Black population was starting to gain, they were starting to lose the grip, or they felt that they could lose the grip of control that they had over Black society during that time. I think it was it was around 1865. It was in the 1860s, right? And they are like, okay, what we need to do is we need more Europeans to come over here. And at this time, they did not consider certain ethnic groups of Europeans to be white. So we'll have them come over. We'll classify them as white. We won't discriminate against them, because a lot of Europeans were discriminated, not to the degree that Black people were discriminated, but a lot of them were discriminated. 1890s. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Kara, for that. A lot of them were discriminated, not to the degree we were discriminated, but they were like, okay, we'll have them come over here, and there'll be reinforcements. They've always used immigration as anti-Black reinforcements for us. So that's a very interesting comment that you made, and it's very accurate too. It's very, very accurate. Okay, we see I have our brother Black Alpha in the building. B1 of Black Alpha. Y'all go check out his page. Our brother Black Light Revelations too. I was on your live earlier today. I caught the very, very tail end of it. I don't know if you noticed, but y'all go check out our brothers' pages. Our sister Kyra, Earth Angel, King Vale. Okay, Jay Hundo. We got a lot of people in here. Okay, we have a lot of people in here. B1, and shout out to every single last one of you guys for being here. Now, let me play this clip so we can kind of get started on what we need to get started on. Now, I put this on my Instagram, not my Instagram, my Twitter, but I wasn't able to play the full thing on Twitter because it only allows you to play like a minute and 20 seconds if you're not subscribed to Twitter Blue, which is how you can get the blue check mark. And I'm not paying $8 a month. I'm just not doing that. And I'm not even judging the people who do. I'm personally just not doing that. All right. So hold on. Before we do anything, let's cross our T's and dot our I's. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, now that's done. Now check this out. So YouTube shouldn't be giving me problems because this is fair use.
Tanya and Terrell, a march in support of immigration is set to begin here shortly in Union Park. Organizers tell me as more migrants are expected to arrive here in Chicago from the Texas border, they're calling on President Biden and our local senators for more resources to help. Mayor Lori Lightfoot appearing on CNN this morning, one day after she sent this letter to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, urging him not to send any more migrants, pleading, quote, "I am yet again appealing to your better nature and asking that you stop this inhumane and dangerous action."
We are completely tapped out. We have no more space, no more resources. And frankly, we're already in a surge. We've been seeing over the last week 200 plus people coming to Chicago every single day.
Mayor Lightfoot says the city is at capacity and struggling to provide shelter for those who are already here. Migrants.
Now, did you guys hear that part? Did you guys hear the part she said? They're flooding Chicago to the degree of 200 to 300 of them a day are coming to Chicago. So you guys know, and they're not really going to touch on this, but before it was just them getting bused to Chicago. Now they're coming over here on planes. That's how bad it is. It went from bus loads of immigrants a day coming to Chicago. And how many people can you like pack in a bus? You can pack, like, if you like a big bus, maybe you can pack a good 60. If you squeeze it, 70 people. You couldn't pack 200, 250. You couldn't pack those many people in a bus. Not really. So they're putting them on planes. They're shipping them over on planes to Chicago a day, every day. So that's how you know how serious the problem has gotten. I just want you guys to notice that. I'm going to play it now.
Some pregnant and nursing sick children are huddled on the floors of police station lobbies right now.
If we don't put the humanity of these migrants front and center, I understand, and I'm solely compassionate to the fact that the borders are themselves really overrun, but you don't solve that problem by simply sticking people on buses to a city that they didn't ask to come to for an uncertain future, and now where we are literally full.
City officials say more than 8,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago since August, when Governor Abbott first began sending busloads from the border without warning.
It has become.
Let me pause that one more time. She said 8,000. 8,000 migrants, which, to be honest, seems a little small, to be honest. It's small. That's a big number. That's almost 10,000 illegal, undocumented, unvetted, okay? But I think that they're underballing that number. I think that number is a bit higher than 8,000. All right? Because the number was like, the last time we did a live about it, the number was like 5,000 and 6,000, like between 5,000 and 6,000. They're saying that the number is so bad that they're sending them from, not just from buses, they're sending them on planes, 200 to 300 a day, every day. They're getting overflown. So I don't think that it's 8,000. Even though 8,000 is a problem, I think the number is much higher than 8,000.
Overwhelming for us because we ran out of places for them.
The city only expects this emergency to grow more dire when the pandemic-era policy known as Title 42 expires next week. They estimate Chicago will need more than $20 million a month just through June to support the influx of migrants.
We have now at least 40,000.
Did y'all hit $20 million a month just in June? And watch as we keep going on, because that number is about to get a lot bigger.
Refugees that are waiting at the border, who will be likely, many of them coming to Chicago, and the city still does not have a plan. We have been asking, we already presented a plan back in September, and the city still has not acted.
And the march begins here shortly at 11:30. They will march from Union Park to Federal Plaza. Then at 1 o'clock, the group is expected to deliver a letter to Senator Durbin to better address this migrant crisis.
Now, okay. Now I'm going to play you, because that was the news clip that they had when Lori Lightfoot announced that, okay, we're maxed out. We're completely maxed out. And so you guys know, I want you guys to like take everything into context. Lori Lightfoot was turning abandoned schools into shelter for migrants, for illegals. That's what they call them, migrants, but they're illegals. She was turning them schools into abandoned buildings to fit them in. So she is literally the type of person who will do any and everything to find some form of shelter, to find some resource to squeeze them in as much as possible. So you can only imagine, if she's saying we're maxed out, there is absolutely no more room in the whole city to put them in. You can only imagine how much Chicago is really, really maxed out. She's not saying we're maxed out, we got a little bit of room, but they're too much. She means that we're completely maxed out. We ain't got money and we ain't got room, and we need help. That's what she's saying. Now she's asking Biden for help, and Biden's not saying nothing. Biden has not made a statement about helping Chicago. Chicago has not gotten any type of federal aid in supporting these illegals that are only over here because Biden allowed them to come over here. I want to show you guys this real quick, because do you guys remember, this was during the Biden administration. This is what Biden did when the Haitians were at the Texas border trying to come over here. This is what Biden did at that specific time. Biden was like, okay, I'm gonna fund white dudes to get on horseback and whip these Haitians back to Haiti. Biden sent all of them with pregnant women, little kids, elderly men and women. He sent every single last one of them back to Haiti. He be damned, okay? And I'm just pointing this out to point out the contradiction, because when they talk about, oh my God, this is a humanity crisis. How could you? They're sick and they're needy and they're hungry and they're cold and they're sad, and how could you do this to them? Notice nobody at all was saying that when they're black. When they're black, get your back. That's tough. That's tough. I'm sorry. Get your black ass back to your country. Now, when it's over here, we're bending over backwards to squeeze them in. I just want you guys to understand that. Okay, that's what the government is doing. So I really don't. I don't. My heart is not crying. I'm not, in such sorrow when it comes to the humanitarian crisis that the immigrants are facing. Because if they were black, we wouldn't be having this problem. They'd be over there in their country. They're only going to do this for the non-black immigrants that Biden plans on using them to replace us anyway. He needs to up their buffer class, like he said before. So that's his whole thing. Now, let me show you this. This was their protest. This was their protest that they had, where they were demanding more resources. They felt like Biden ain't doing enough for them.
Workers, regardless of immigration status.
Well, immigration reform is the focus of May Day rallies and marches.
And part of that reform, marchers say, is finding permanent housing for those migrants bused to Chicago.
And Dame Placco has more on that.
This day is very important for our community.
This day, May Day, is a worldwide celebration of workers' rights. And members of Chicago's immigrant Hispanic community say it's time they be included in the American dream.
We demand Biden, the administration, Biden, he listened to the people. He listened and make a reform, immigration reform for the people that stay here for a long time.
Now he's talking about, so you guys know, they use the he needs immigration reform for people who stay here for a long time. First off, most of those people have not been there for a long time. Let's be honest, August has not even been, a lot of them coming since August. That wasn't even a year ago. It's not even August of 2023. A lot of them start coming less than a year ago. And to be honest, when you flood like thousands of people, it's going to slow everything up. So the more immigrants that come over, the slower the process is going to be. They are like, you know what? Damn that. We want to come over here, and Biden, you said we can be citizens, so what's up? That's kind of their energy right now. That's why they're protesting, because they all like, hey, we're coming over here. We're not getting all of the perks that you said we were going to get. We're getting some of it. All of the ones we're getting is unwarranted, but we ain't getting everything. So what's up, Biden? That's their whole energy right now. These people are entitled as hell. Look at them.
Despite a cold, blustery rain, about 40 people gathered at Union Park on Chicago's west side and marched into the Loop and Federal Plaza, demanding a path to citizenship for the estimated 12 million undocumented people who've been living and working in the United States for years.
The 12 million demanding citizenship. I mean, look. And they complain about us with reparations. That's the thing I'm saying. They complain about us talking about, oh, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, just work hard, you're not oppressed, you're not this, you're not that. We actually deserve reparations. That's the crazy thing. We deserve reparations. Reparations is a debt that's owed to us. We're not asking for anything that's not owed to us. We're not asking for anything we shouldn't have. Yet you got them coming over here and talking about 12 million. We demand to be citizens in this country. Now, there is nowhere we can go, me or anybody in the chat room listening or live or recorded could go anywhere in the world and say, you know what? We've been here long enough. We've just been here long enough. I demand to be a citizen, and I'm going to protest being a citizen. There is nowhere that can happen. They wouldn't let, and it's crazy. What's crazy about this is going back to the situation with the Haitian border crisis. They didn't even allow Haitians to get the chance to protest, to come over here and become citizens. Y'all ain't even going to step foot on the soil to be citizens. They're not even allowing them to get that chance. But they're allowing them to go over and have protests. We want to be the citizens, and we want to do 12 million of them. Okay, that's how entitled they are.
At the Klaczynski Federal Building, the group presented a letter addressed to Illinois Senator Dick Durbin.
If Congress does not act to pass immigration reform now, we demand that President Biden include the 12 million undocumented immigrants in his immigrant parole offered to hundreds of thousands of refugees entering legally this year.
And they're also demanding more resources from the city of Chicago to help the migrants that are being bused here by Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
One of the things
they're demanding more resources. And we're going to get to how much money Chicago is actually spending on them. We're going to get to that in just a moment. They're demanding more resources. Now, they're not grateful that they just get to come over here. They're not grateful. Oh, thank you for just giving us the opportunity to work over here. I appreciate it so much.
That we're asking the city and all elected officials, especially federal government, is that they stop playing political games with people's lives. This is not a political playbook for them. This is a humanitarian crisis.
The marchers say they plan to go to Washington to press for immigration reform directly at a major rally in the nation's capital in early August. Dane Placco, Fox 32, Chicago.
Did y'all catch that last part? They plan on going. They're pretty much, everybody has to copy us. I swear to God, we're the number one most copied, most ripped off people ever. Period. To be honest, nobody's going to do anything if we don't do it first. We do something, everybody else want to do it. We do a march on Washington, everybody else got to do it. Okay, all right. We get it. We the sauce. We get it. Everybody want to be like us. But they plan on having a march on Washington to demand immigration reform. They plan on going to Washington this year, this summer, so they can become citizens. That's how entitled these people think that they are. Okay, these people are coming over here with the colonizer mindset, like we're gonna come over here and we just deserve and demand y'all treat us better than y'all treat everybody else. So you can easily see with this type of mentality how the dominant society will use them against Black society. You can easily tell that. Now, let's actually get into some of the numbers. And somebody said in the chat room, hold on, who said this in the chat room? Yeah, now, Harold Washington actually is the reason why Chicago's a sanctuary city, which is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. Now, check this out. I'm going to play. Where was that other one? Oh, come on. Don't do this. Was it that one? Oh, look at this. Check this out.
This moment.
It's on Face the Nation.
Can there be stability if Vladimir Putin
It's the
remains
ad.
in power?
Face
Don't
the
mind that.
Nation with Margaret Brennan on CBS.
Very pleasant outside, beautiful to look at. Ed, what's next?
What's next is more beautiful weather and more warm temperatures like we've been.
Hold on, y'all. My bad. Hold on. When the article plays, for some reason, it skips to a. Hold on. Let me see something. Let me see something. What the hell? Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, here we go. Come on, y'all. Come on, don't do this.
This moment.
It's on Face the Nation.
Can there be stability if Vladimir Putin remains in power?
Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan on CBS.
Chicago's on the brink of a humanitarian crisis tonight, according to city leaders concerned about the hundreds of migrants arriving here each day from the Texas border. Leaders say the city can no longer foot the bill and are calling on the federal government now for immediate help.
We rely upon the city for their plan, and I know that they've been working hard to provide shelter, to make sure that they're doing everything they can. It hasn't been enough.
Chicago is spending millions of dollars a month helping migrants. Tonight, we're asking, where is that money going exactly? CBS 2's Lauren Victory, always investigating.
People are coming to a sanctuary city. We need to act like one.
22nd Ward Alderman Michael Rodriguez can't believe asylum seekers with children have no place to go because temporary shelters are full.
4 families in one of my police districts with kids sleeping on the floor.
There's a lot of pointing fingers. I'm just going to be quite honest.
Rodriguez told that to Chicago's Immigrant and Refugee Rights Committee on Friday when we learned the following about the city's migrant response. We've been spending $20 million a month, but our bill between January and June could be more than that, approximately $125 million. By some estimates, the cost for...
Okay, let's just take a second to really marinate about these numbers. Okay. Now, in the other articles, in the other videos, they were kind of being a little bit disingenuous. They were saying, "Oh, we are going to need $20 million a month." But when you actually look at it, they've already been spending $20 million a month. $20 million a month, and that math makes more sense with hundreds of them coming over here. You don't know who they are. You don't know their background. Some of them are coming over here with health issues. Some of them are coming over here pregnant. Some of them are coming over here with children and all. So you're going to spend a lot of money. Some of them are coming over here. They don't speak English that well. A lot of them are coming over here with psychological problems and whatnot. So you're going to be spending a lot of money. You're already going to be spending a lot of money. Now, what they were saying, oh, well, we need was $20 million. But when you do the digging, you'll find out that they have already been spending $20 million a month. And in June and July, which is coming up next month, because this is May right now, right this month, okay, is May. And in June and July, they're going to spend about 3 times, not 3 times, I'm sorry. They're going to spend, there is 20 million, right? They're going to spend about 125 million between June and July. 125 million. And why that's going to amp up is because there's you know, with the pandemic lightening up, I think there's a thing called Title 42 that's going to end next week. When Title 42 ends next week, they're going to, you think they're flooding now? You think this is a crisis now where they're just coming over here and they're flooding the zone now? It's going to be a major catastrophe when Title 42 is up, because all of the COVID restrictions, all of the restrictions are going to be up. There is going to be over with, so there's not going to be any type of limitation for them to be flooding over here. So you know, that's $20 million a month since August. So you have August, September, let's count it, August, September, 2 months, November, December, January, February, March, April, and we just got in May. We're just getting May. That's 8 months. Okay. That's 8 months. So that's already in even if we say that's 20 million, which I think is probably a little bit more based off of some other readings that I've done. Even if we say that's 20 million a month since August, that's already $160 million solely for these illegal immigrants coming over to Chicago. $160 million in less than a month, on top of all of the other resources and stuff like that. Because remember, when this stuff first broke out, and I did a live about it, Lori Lightfoot set up a website where she was asking Chicagoans, 160 million. Yeah, exactly, Auntie. When she was asking, if you guys remember, Lori Lightfoot was asking Chicagoans to donate. So they're not calculating all of the donations. They're not calculating all of the soup cans and then extra blankets and all of that stuff that the regular Chicagoans are spending. They're just talking about the budget, how much they're spending on the budget based off of what the city has, and then the city asks the state for more money. That's all they're talking about, and all of that is $160 million by itself. And then they're saying the $20 million by next month, we're going to have to spend about $120 million. Okay, so let's continue, just so we can really process how much money all of this is going to take.
Migrant care is $7,000 per person. Some estimates the cost for migrant care is $7,000 per person per month. That comes out to about $225 a day for each of
$7,000 per person per month. $7,000 per, they're willing to spend $7,000 per person per month, and they're not doing anything to deserve this money, to deserve these resources. You got people, and when they talk about black people being on food stamps, black people being on government assistance, black people can't do nothing to get this type of government assistance. $7,000 is spent on them worth of resources. You might get a couple $100 worth of food stamps, and that's it. $225 a day each person. That includes children. That's the man, the woman, and the child, $225 a day when you really do the math. Because before they weren't really doing the math. When you see the math, you can see how bad the situation really is.
$125 million.
Let me take it
By
all
some
back,
estimates,
just in case
Rodriguez
you're just coming
told
in.
that to Chicago's Immigrant and Refugee Rights Committee on Friday when we learned the following about the city's migrant response. We've been spending $20 million a month, but our bill between January and June could be more than that, approximately $125 million. By some estimates, the cost for migrant care is $7,000 per person per month. That comes out to about $225 a day for each asylum seeker. What exactly is that money being spent on? CBS 2 started asking about migrant expenditures months ago. Check out this February public records request. We never got answers, but we know the city's budget director is keeping track because she's trying to get state and federal reimbursements.
The city then went back and submitted a revised request.
Meantime, the rate of migrant spending is being reduced in other cities.
Didn't I say
Federal
October?
funding-
Somebody said I forgot October in the chat room. I didn't say October. Did I forget October? Well, if I did, that would be 160 to 180 then.
Limitations prompted Denver to
January.
create new rules that go into effect next week, where shelter is only being offered to asylum seekers who've met with immigration officials. In Washington, D.C.,
Oh, yeah, I did.
housing is provided to families, not single individuals. Chicago welcomes everyone. Rodriguez says cutting back is not an option.
I have an 8-month pregnant woman with a 3-year-old child sleeping on a cold floor every night. That's not humane. We need to do better.
Alderman Rodriguez says he's in talks with some landlords about offering up their space for migrants to stay instead of sleeping at police stations. It's unclear if that'd be free rent or something else to add to the city's bill. I'm Lauren Victory, CBS 2 News.
So, and see, this is why I appreciate the chat room, because I just counted them up again. I did forget October for some reason. I don't know how. So instead of 160, that's $180 million since August. I don't know how I forgot October. That's weird. But $180 million, which I still think is kind of lowballing the numbers. I still think it's probably a little bit more than 20 million. You know what I'm saying? Because in August, and then the colder it is, then you're going to have to like the heat bill, and you're going to definitely have to keep people out. So I still think they're lowballing a little bit, but that's still a lot of money. Now, she's talking about before the alderman is going to talk to landlords, and what's most likely going to happen is the alderman is going to try to convince landlords to open their property so illegals can come in and stay in their property, and he's going to just foot the bill. He's just going to have the city pay the landlord the money that he would charge a tenant for. So these migrants are coming over just because they don't want them to sleep on the floor in a police station in a country that they don't necessarily have the right to be in the first place. He's going to have the landlord pay for that. So in the land that is currently gentrifying black people, that is currently raising the rent for black people to where it's unbearable, where black people are moving out of the city of Chicago, where black people who are not moving out of the city of Chicago are scraping to get all the dimes and nickels from in between the couches and in between the seats of their car so they can make ends meet. These black people from Chicago who have been here for decades, who are struggling to find places to live now, who are being pushed out of Chicago due to gentrification. He's saying all of these black people, damn, now he's just an alderman though, but these black people, damn them. That's what everybody's saying. That's what the mayor is saying. That's what the governor is saying. And that's what the president is saying. Let me get to the super chat for the 1999 super chat. He says, tell it like it is, says, hold on, let me see. He says, I could care less about their kids sleeping on the floor. They came here illegally under the protection of the government, demanding the taxpayers take care of them. Ballsy and our quote leaders lead us to this monstrosity. I fully agree. I fully agree. Their kids, first off, let's be honest. Let's be honest. I don't want nothing bad to happen to kids, any kids, but is sleeping on the floor, is that the worst? Is that a human crisis? Is sleeping on the floor a human crisis? Since when is sleeping on the floor like a I mean, how low is the bar? If we're going to be honest, how low is it? At least they're sleeping in a building. You got black people sleeping outside under a bridge in a tent all throughout this country. And you're talking about a migrant, and some of them are young too. Some these are not just old crazy men. Some of these are young brothers and sisters sleeping outside, sleeping in cars outside. And you got them sleeping inside with AC, with heating and all that stuff. And they just they make a little pallet on the floor and they get to sleep outside. Oh my God, what are we doing in this country? Because they're maxed out. And what's crazy about that is, and thank you for the super chat, tell like it is. What's crazy about what that is because when they first started coming over here, they were getting put in hotels. If you remember, they were getting put in hotels. They were getting put in nice shelters. They were getting good treatment. But then when thousands of them are coming over here, there's not enough hotels to cozy everybody up. Everybody can't stay in this 5-star hotel. Everybody can't stay in 5-star shelters. Everybody can't live like that. So now you got a point where, you sleeping on the floor. That's tough. If it was worse than where you were from, you would not be here. So regardless of this being a humanitarian crisis, you wouldn't be here if you thought that this was worse than where you were from. So the way I'm looking at it, it's a win for you. So all that, oh my God, kids sleeping on, they gonna be okay. They will, I promise you, they will be okay. Ain't saying nothing about the black kids. Shout out to Big Red for the $5 super chat. He says B1 to you, my brother. I appreciate you. Okay, let me get to some of the chat room real quick before I go into what Brandon Johnson is saying, talking about now. Yep, it's crazy. He says, yeah, I'm still tripping about how I forgot October. I don't know, but yeah, that's 180. I can't believe I said that. Anyway, says what the heck is the end game? Because I don't understand why America would be so stupid and careless. Now, the thing is that doesn't make, first off, their plan doesn't make any sense. Joe Biden wants them to come over here because, being honest, and we talked about this before, the white rate, the rate of Europeans, white Europeans, is dying down. Okay, it's lowering. So what they need is a very tight, very strong, solidified buffer class to kind of pass the mantle to pass the baton down to. That's why Biden said in that leaked Zoom meeting that we as black people, when he said y'all, he meant black people, are going to have to start working with Hispanics, which means taking order from, which means stepping behind, which means following. We're going to have to understand that we're next after the Hispanics because they make up a larger population than we do, allegedly. And he's making sure that they do. He's definitely making sure that they do. Let me see. Blueberry Muffin, our sister, says it's inhumane for tax-paying pregnant women and black folks who have no place to stay in this country. That's what's inhumane. You want to talk about inhumane? Oh, that's a human crisis or whatever. That's a human crisis, but this I'm not caping necessarily, but that's a human crisis. But this was not a human crisis. I just want to know, okay, so where's the line between what can be considered a human crisis and what can't be considered a human crisis? Because These immigrants were suffering through the same things, worse, honestly. The Haitians were suffering through worse crisis than what these Hispanics, or as a brother Torian would say, south of the Bardarians, were suffering. And what they went through, nobody, there was not one, MSNBC, CNN, ABC News, nobody was calling this a humanitarian crisis. Nobody. But yeah, you get little Pedro sleeping on the floor at the police station. That's a human crisis, and the government needs to step in. I just want to know the standard. That's all I want to know. I'm just curious about what, you know, what the standard is. T. Wilkins says, I was just out in Gary, stopped at the train show downtown. It's a haven for homeless and mentally ill, all FBA brothers and sisters. B1 brother Afro Lee. Thank you very much. And that's the thing. We got a lot that, let's be honest. There is a lot, even the people who are not homeless. There's so many FBA brothers and sisters who are this close to being homeless. Okay, not just in Chicago, but all around America. Okay, all around America. We were just talking about, and I might have to do something separately on this, about Jordan Neely, that brother who was, you know, strangled to death by a suspected white supremacist in New York at the subway, the train station, right? Homeless, hungry, struggling. There's a lot of black people who might not necessarily be homeless. They might have a place to sleep, but they're this close from being that way. They can't really eat efficiently. They're paycheck to paycheck, which literally means if they miss a paycheck, if the paycheck is short, that means they're going to fall behind their bills. They're catching their bills right at the moment. So if for whatever reason they go a paycheck and their paycheck gets lost or the bank don't take it, they're going to fall behind certain bills. We got a lot of people in that position already. We got a lot of people who have mental health issues, a lot of people who have health issues that $180 million could be going to that. And what's crazy about that is they actually deserve it. We're not even talking about reparations. We're just talking about the fact that these are actually citizens. These are actually legal citizens whose parents were citizens, whose grandparents were citizens, whose great-grandparents and their grandparents were citizens. But you're prioritizing people who just got over here not even a year ago. That's the part that's crazy. We're going to get to Maya Lou for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. This would stop if Chicago residents will file a class action lawsuit against the city naming the alderman mayor personality. Now, what's interesting about that is there's actually a meeting, and thank you very much for your thing. Most people in Chicago aren't feeling this. They're saying that, oh yeah, Chicago, they most, especially black people, most black people in Chicago ain't feeling this at all. There's a meeting going on right now as we speak in Chicago on the South Side with Mayor Lori Lightfoot, because she's still the mayor until the 15th. Mayor Lori Lightfoot is in, and they're talking about what they're going to do as far as turning schools into shelters and stuff like that. The schools that was closed down due to Rob Emanuel. So it's a whole lot going on. It's a whole lot going on as far as that. But the black folks ain't really buying it. They not really they're pushing back against that. And you're making a good suggestion. Yeah, black people should push back against that. And you say, and thank you for your super chat. Let me see. They need to give $7,000 a month. That's balling out of control. Says they will indeed give them $7,000 a month. That's balling out of control. Blacks work their B off just to make $2,400 a month. These blacks and whites kicking us out with predatory renting against us. Yeah, a taco. Yeah, exactly. Black people, $7,000 a month, $7,000 a month. Let me do a little bit of math. $7,000 a month, and there is 12 months in a year. So that's 84,000. I knew it was 80 something. That's $84,000 a year each. That's not one person. That's not a man and a woman. That's the man, the woman, and the child. That's $84,000 each. The average American who's working, the average working American doesn't make that much money. That's living kind of fair. That's living kind of decent. Okay, for considering that they're not working whatsoever. Okay. And Black Americans are scraping by, just scraping by. Now, I'm going to read this if I can find it. Yeah, I know, Auntie, you're not feeling this at all. So I want to see exactly what's going to happen with this meeting. And this is why every single time we have a thing about reparations going on in Chicago, I'm trying my best to be there and trying to let you guys know about that, because I'll be damned if they get coming over here and they getting like kind of like what would you call that, like upper, and that's not necessarily upper middle, they're like middle, instantly middle class, and we sitting up there, we're struggling to make that annually for regular folks where I am. Yeah, that's a decent amount for people who don't need to be here, who aren't legally supposed to be here. Now I want to read you guys this, and this is coming from WTTW, and this is Johnson to review Lightfoot's plan to turn vacant South Shore High School into immigrant shelter. All right, this was yesterday. Now, the meeting is going on today, but I'm here with you guys because I love you guys. Now, Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson declined on Wednesday to endorse Mayor Lori Lightfoot's plan to transform the vacant South Shore High School into a shelter for immigrants. Johnson, who will replace Lightfoot in less than 2 weeks, said he would consult with the South Shore community before making any final decisions on how to address a renewed surge of immigrants being sent to the city from Texas and other states along the southern borders. Officials say the surge poses a quote humanitarian crisis in Chicago. That's what they're saying. Quote, now this is from Brandon. What I favor and what we will do day one is make sure that there is a real effort to coordinate our resources at the federal, state, county, and city level, Johnson said. We are already in the process of developing that infrastructure. More than 2,800 recent migrants who are in the country legally, legally after requesting asylum and being granted parole are being housed in. Now they're saying legally, but they're not citizens. They're saying they're here legally, but they're not citizens though. So they're on parole. That's like a visa. So legally, there's no warrant to kick them out, but they're not citizens. Let's keep that in mind. Let's be honest about that. Okay, and that's a lot. Imagine how many people that would be in a room. That's a huge amount of people. That's almost 3,000 people. Okay, more than 2,800 recent immigrants who are in this country legally, air quotes, after requesting asylum and being granted parole, are being housed in the city shelters, officials said. All of the city shelters beds are occupied. That's all of them. ALL. They would not be saying all if it was not all. Okay. They were making more shelter beds for them. And they're saying, we just ain't got no room for them no more. We're done. This is too much. We've done too much. We don't have no money. We don't got no nothing. Okay. Biden was the one allowing them to come over here. Now Biden's sitting up there. He can't be found. Now it continues to say Johnson called it unquote unconceivable. Really? Okay. Anyway, he called it unconceivable that the immigrants are being used as political football by Republican governors, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and wielded at quote as a weapon against cities run by Democrat mayors, including New York City. And as you guys know, New York City is being overrun. I think our brother Torian Rain just did a video on that when he was talking about how the mayor of New York, I forgot his name. The mayor of New York was talking about they are maxed out when it comes to resources. So it's not just Chicago. Everywhere that they're sending them, they're like, okay, we're done. We don't have no room for them anymore. We're maxed out. We're at full capacity right now. We're overloaded right now. Okay. And here's another thing. They keep talking about political. This is a political football. Listen, I'm not mad at Greg Abbott for that. Now, Greg Abbott does have a history of anti-black racism. Okay, Eric Adams. Thank you, Eric Adams. Eric Adams, he was opening the floodgates for him. Now Eric Adams is sitting up there panicking because Eric Adams is at max capacity, just like Lori Lightfoot. All right. Now, here's the thing. They're saying Texas, oh, the governor, Greg Abbott, he's so bad. How could he send them over here? Man, if I was the governor, I would be doing the same damn thing. Y'all should be mad at y'all governors. I'm mad at J.B. Pritzker. Okay, y'all should be mad at y'all governors for allowing them to come over here. Any responsible governor would be all like, I got to look out for my people. These are the people I'm governing. Y'all gonna come over here and create a crisis for the people that I'm supposed to be governing. So I got to tell the people who voted for me, I'm sorry, but they're coming over. They didn't vote for me. Y'all did. Y'all wanted me to lead y'all and have y'all lives be more prosperous. But I'm sorry, we're making exceptions and putting them above you guys. To be honest, I'm not mad or at Greg Abbott for that. Now, I'm not sitting up there caping for Greg Abbott, and I'm not sitting up there singing his praises. You know what I'm saying? Because he got his anti-black history going on too. And I'm not saying he's a hero in any sense, but I'm saying that they're sitting up there, oh my God, he's such a bad guy. No, y'all the bad guys. If y'all were responsible governors or mayors, y'all be like, no. Mind you, Greg Abbott is only sending them to certain places. Greg Abbott ain't sending them anywhere. Greg Abbott would have sent them to, if I was the mayor of Chicago, Greg Abbott would have sent the bus to Chicago, and before any of them stepped foot off, I would have been like, nope. What we'll do, because we're just such nice people, what we'll do is we'll gas the bus up and y'all can go someplace else. I don't know where y'all gonna go. I don't know where y'all gonna go. I can give y'all a map. I can charge your phone for the GPS. Y'all can go someplace else. That's all I can do. I'm sorry. I might give them some water bottles. I don't know if I give them snacks. But I give them some water bottles or something like that. Maybe for the kids or whatnot. Just because I'm nice like that. I do that. But continuing, right here. With the city shelters at max, with the city shelters at capacity, dozens of men, women, and children are being forced to sleep on the floors of police stations across the city while they wait for beds, officials said. Immigrants who arrive by plane, remember I was telling you guys, they're not just coming by buses. They're coming by planes now. That's how bad the situation is. Immigrants who arrive by plane are also sleeping at O'Hare Airport. That's how bad the situation is. All right. Now it continues to say, quote, and then this is from Johnson, what my preferences always will be is a real community process that allows our response to not just meet the need, but also one that includes all stakeholders in solving what ultimately is a crisis that is quite frankly engineered, Johnson said, pledging to work with members of the Chicago City Council. So I'ma say, Johnson ain't really doing what Lori Lightfoot was doing. Johnson ain't like, hey, we're gonna come over here, screw the aldermen, screw the city, screw what the people want. Johnson, this ain't too bad. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna sit up there and sing his praises, but at least I will give him the fact that he all like, hey, Lori Lightfoot didn't do the right thing with this. Okay. So, he ain't saying he gonna send him out though. That's what he needs to be saying. That's what I would be saying. Damn, no, we're gonna talk it out. We ain't gonna talk nothing out. We're gonna talk out who needs to leave. That's what we need to be talking out. Okay. Now it goes on to say Alderman Michelle Harris, and she's the alderman of the 8th Ward, told WDTW News Tuesday that she opposes the use of a vacant South Shore high school as a shelter and would push for alternative solutions to ensure their safety, their community safety, ensure our community safety, which she should. And that's the thing, when they talk about, oh yeah, Chicago, everybody wants to help. Hey, ain't nobody trying to help. People trying to be like, no, man, y'all go someplace else. With the exception of Rodriguez, who's a Hispanic, you can only imagine by his last name, he's a Hispanic. With the exception of Rodriguez, ain't nobody really trying to for them to flood over here. All the aldermen are like, no, man, we sent up there, we trying to get resources for our people. And you talking about turning abandoned schools that y'all said y'all would revamp. Yeah, he's a white Hispanic, exactly. Y'all said y'all would revamp these abandoned schools, but y'all turn them into shelters. And damn that. Continuing though, Harris, and they're not talking about Kamala Harris, they're talking about Michelle Harris. No relation, not that I know of. Harris, who endorsed Johnson's rival Paul Vallas in last month's mayoral election, was an ally of Lori Lightfoot, and is posed to retain her powerful perch as chair of the city council's rule committee after the mayor-elect takes office. Okay, so I guess she's trying to stay back in. She's trying to stay in where she is. The roiling, now we're at the top, the roiling debate over the plan to transform the vacant South Shore High School into a shelter is similar to the controversy over Lightfoot's decision to ignore Alderman Jeanette Taylor from the 20th Ward. Remember, we were talking about that before, where she turned it into that, and then the black people are like, hey, get them out of here, and we're not voting for you, Lightfoot. Remember that? That's in the 20th Ward. Okay, so started Lightfoot's decision to ignore Alderman Jeanette Taylor's 20th Ward and open a shelter in the closed I cannot say that, Wadworth. My tongue is twisting every time I try it. Wadworth Elementary School in Lawndale, Woodlawn. Taylor repeatedly told Lightfoot that Woodlawn residents were angry that her administration decided to open a shelter and a shuttered school without consulting them before developing a plan to ensure the safety of everyone in the area. You see? Lightfoot just didn't give a damn. And this is one of the big reasons why she lost. Because people in Chicago is like, damn, Lightfoot, how many times you going to slap us in the face like this? It continues to say, Taylor blamed Lightfoot for exacerbating tensions between Black and Latino Chicagoans by transforming a closed Chicago public school building in a primarily Black neighborhood into a shelter for immigrants from Central and South America, and adding an insult to the injury caused by the school's closure. Can't be too mad at that. Can't yeah. Because they said they were going to do something. My Chicago folks know they've been saying that they were going to do something with that school, with those schools for years now. For years, what's it been like? What, 10 years almost? Years now, okay? And they haven't done anything with them. And they haven't done anything with them at all. But you're going to put the Latinos, and this was one of the big reasons why they're mad. They're going to put the Latinos, because all of these are Hispanics, in the Black neighborhood. And that's where Taylor, she was all like, no. And you're going to create further racial tension in Chicago. Now, continuing, it says, Johnson said Wednesday he was concerned about that issue as well. South Shore High School closed in 2014, like I said, almost a decade ago. And the building has been used as to train police officers since 2020. Okay. Really? So anyway, quote, many communities have been denied for too long basic amenities and resources that can help strengthen those communities, Johnson said. The stronger our communities are, the better positioned we can be to support those who are struggling. Continuing, he says, closed school buildings represent a, quote, weight in many communities, Johnson said. In 2013, former Mayor Rahm Emanuel closed 50 Chicago public schools, most in the South and West sides. Though in the South and West sides are where the Black people are, okay? Then it says, this is a quote from him, schools closing are still very traumatic. Johnson said, the harm and the pain and the anguish that was caused still is a hardship. I don't want to be responsible for any type of re-triggering that trauma. We're going to work with sensitivity. We're also going to work with intentionality. Lightfoot's office will be hosting 6 p.m. Thursday at the former. Now, this is the thing that they're going to be hosting, an event that they're going to be hosting. Okay. All right. Okay. So Brandon Johnson is like, he's trying to talk some way out, because the thing is that Brandon knows Chicago is in major crisis right now. Lightfoot she just opened the floodgates, and this was like in spite of, remember, she did this in spite of Greg Abbott. She did this because Democrats have this thing where they view Democrat, anything the Republican does, they got to do the opposite. So because Greg Abbott is a Republican, they are like, you know what? Nah, the Republicans, y'all inhumane. Illegals, y'all can come over here. We're going to take care of them. Screw you. Now, and Greg Abbott's like, okay, all right, okay, just send him over there. Send him over there. Him and who did you guys say was the mayor of let me see. Who did you guys say was the mayor? I can't believe I just forgot his name that fast. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams. Him and Eric Adams, they'd be like, yeah, we're gonna take them all over. Remember, they were bragging. Remember when back during August, when they first started sending them over here, they started to brag about how much they were taking care of them. Oh no, we're human. We care about them. We love them. Eric Adams, thank you. We love them. We want them to come over here. We're gonna provide shelter. We're gonna make a way. We're gonna make a way for them. Okay. And Eric Adams like, oh, all right, okay, cool. And just sending them over. And now it's gotten to the point where now the mayor's like, hey, we're maxed out. And we've been asking the state for money. And the state has actually been given money. we're spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars a month just on trying to provide for them. And it's not like we're seeing an end of this. Because at a certain point, we're like, yeah, we'll take them on. We'll take them on. And then they coming and they coming and they coming and they coming and you don't see no end. And at a certain point, you're like, okay, are y'all gonna stop anytime soon? Are y'all gonna stop anytime soon? And the thing is, they're crying for help now because they know when Title 42 ends, it's going to be, if you think there's going to be hundreds of them coming over a day, try making thousands, 1,000 of them coming over a day. It's like what she said, 200 to 300 a day. Try like 800 a day. Try how many people that is a day. Okay, y'all spending 20 million a month, and y'all like, yeah, we're gonna need about 125 million a month. So now they're panicking because they, out of spite, they cut their nose to spite their face. Out of spite, they allowed them to come over because, let's be honest, they have just as much right to say, no, we're not doing that. I know we're a sanctuary city. We'll take a few. We'll send a lot back. They didn't have to allow thousands. It's up to 8,000, allegedly. That's what they're saying. I think is more personally. But they didn't have to allow thousands of them to come over. I wouldn't have. I'd be damned. I wouldn't have. I don't even care if I was the mayor and the governor was like, yeah, they can come over. They can come over someplace else, maybe to Springfield or somewhere down south of Illinois. They ain't coming to my city. I'd be damned. I wouldn't have allowed that to happen. They've been allowed to have that happen. And they're sitting up there breaking the bag for them to come over. Now they're sitting up there asking Biden for help. And Biden's not saying nothing about this issue. Biden ain't said, okay, we're going to stricken the borders. Biden ain't saying nothing about it. Now, the thing is that what Biden is doing is Biden's like, they can be over here, but we're just not going to make them citizens. Biden is using this as, okay, we're gonna by having them come over here, they can come over with asylum seekers privilege or whatever the process is to have them technically legally be over here, but we're not gonna make them citizens. So this way, Biden has the ability to be all like, okay, you guys can just, I can send you back whenever I please, whenever I want to. I can send you guys back, and I don't even have to deal with the messy paperwork of removing your citizenship or anything like that. I can send you guys back whenever I want. I can allow y'all to come in, and I can send you guys back. The people who are in these cities struggling right now, tough. That's tough. I'm sorry. That's tough. That's tough. And you got black people in here, in these cities, in Chicago, in New York, in DC. They haven't said anything about DC, but Chicago and New York, I know specifically, especially, are struggling to deal with all of these problems, all of these issues, on top of all of the other issues that Chicago is going through right now. Now, I'm going to say this one thing. Every year, without fail, every single year I can remember, they always talk about Chicago. There's a shooting going on in Chicago. This was the deadliest weekend of all time. They're gonna, I promise you, they're gonna do that. It's gonna be, oh my God, 70 people shot in Chicago's deadliest weekends, the bloodiest weekend. They're gonna, I promise you, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it, right? Now, what they don't factor, because when they do it, they always imply that it's just gang violence. It's the BDs and the GDs, and they're going at each other, and it's the black gangs in Chicago shooting each other up or shooting up innocent people. But let me tell you, what they do is they take all of the, mind you, Chicago is a city with nearly 3 million people. Chicago's the third biggest city in the entire United States of America. So 3 million people in one city, all right? And they count all of the shootings that go on in the whole city, and they'll just give you the raw number of the shootings that go on in the whole city. So some of them are gang shootings. Some of them are like situations of, domestic violence or whatever the case is. Some of them are accidents. And then some of them, and I've been saying this for a long time, some of them are kind of really suspect. Some of them are just mysterious drive-bys and nobody knows what's going on. And these people we suspect are suspected white supremacists that come through the neighborhood and start shooting the place up. And the police know about it. They're in on it if they're not doing it themselves, and they never catch the people. And a lot of them, in recent times, they've been talking about an uptick in crime going on in Chicago, especially when it comes to Grand Theft Auto, people stealing cars, breaking into cars, ripping the equipment and stuff like that out of the cars, or breaking into cars, stealing the cars and taking them off, stripping everything from them, robbing that, stealing their parts, and then going to the Hispanics and selling their parts back. A lot of the uptick in crime, a lot of that is due to the Hispanics. If we're going to be honest, let's be honest. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. And Cinco de Mayo in Chicago, and they allow them to do this every year, and I hate it so very much. They allow them to just take their cars, they stick their flags out of their car. I'm being honest, and the people from Chicago know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if it happens anywhere else, but I know for a fact it happens in Chicago. They take their flags, the Mexican flag, they put it in their window, they stick it out, and they just go downtown and create this huge traffic jam. And they just play a whole bunch of Hispanic music. That's what they do for Cinco de Mayo. They get drunk, they go over there, and they just flood Chicago. They just flood downtown and create a huge big traffic jam for no, and they do it every year, and the city lets them do it. The city allows them to do that. There's barely any arrests unless somebody gets rowdy or whatnot. But in recent times, I don't know if you guys remember, but in recent times, there's been a lot of people around Cinco de Mayo that's been breaking into cars. A lot of Cinco de Mayo's, I know. A lot of people during Cinco de Mayo, they have their cars broken into. There's a lot of people who get mugged during Cinco. They don't tell you that. Of course, they wouldn't tell you that. There's a lot of people who get mugged in Cinco de Mayo. There's a lot of people who get robbed. There's a lot of people who get shot during Cinco de Mayo, and they're not going to tell you that. So a lot of this uptick in crime, there's not just black people. It's not just the BDs and the GDs and, the Stones or whatever. It's not just them. Okay. Exactly. Can people vouch? Exactly. We got people from Chicago vouching. This is exactly what happens. I'm not lying or exaggerating. This is exactly what happens in Chicago every single year. Since I can remember, there is not one single time where that has not happened. They just flood Chicago with this massive traffic jam, and it gets worse and worse, and nothing happens to it. You don't see no big police presence or nothing like that. You don't see them trying to clear the streets or do nothing like that. They just let them do whatever they want to do. They be out there driving drunk, because a lot of them drink and drive. I'm just being honest, a lot of them do. They're just driving drunk, playing music. You're doing whatever. A lot of them may or may not have licenses. Let's be honest. Am I telling people from Chicago? No, I'm not telling a lie. They know I'm not telling a lie, and they allow them to do that anyway. They wouldn't be dead. I'd be damned if they allow any black person to do that. They wouldn't allow us to do that. The second too many black people are in one place, you see police. You will see police just sitting up there making sure nothing goes on. They will be there ready to arrest. Exactly. No insurance. A lot. You'd be surprised how many of them don't have any insurance. A lot of them do not have insurance at all. So if they hit you, they're driving off. That's it. And a lot of the, if we're gonna be on it, let's tell the whole truth. Let's tell the whole truth. a lot of them, if they'll hit you, they'll drive off. So a lot of times there's a people who go around the Cinco de Mayo time, they'll get their cars, you know, parked cars, they'll bump into parked cars because they don't really have licenses, because they don't even really have documentation to be here. Okay, that's one. They're drinking, because that's a big thing in their culture with celebrations. Drink all these beers. Okay, they're drinking, they'll hit parked cars and they'll drive off. And then your insurance is going to have to pay for it, because it's not like they're going to leave a note or anything like that. And if you catch them, they're going to drive off, because they don't even have insurance to be there in the first place. So that's a big problem that we got going on. So that's why I'm trying to let's stay, and a lot of them are just anti-black in general too. So if we know our history about Chicago, and this is something I've been trying to warn Black Chicagoans about, is a lot of the Hispanics in Chicago are anti-Black racist. A lot of them have anti-Black racism in them. I keep reminding people about what happened in 2020 in Little Village. That's like a neighborhood kind of like on the west side of Chicago, where Black people just passing through and they were just being attacked randomly like it was a sundown town. They were just being pregnant women just being attacked, while they talk about it's a humanitarian crisis that a pregnant woman is sleeping on the floor. Pregnant women were being attacked by Hispanics in Little Village in 2020. Nobody called that a humanitarian crisis. Nobody, right? So a lot of them have anti-Black racism within them, stemming from Mexico, because there's a lot of anti-Black racism in Mexico, being honest, and there's a lot of anti-Black racism from the Hispanics in Chicago. So I keep having to warn Black people in Chicago about that, because that's a big problem. And they all going to look out for each other. So now there was another thing I wanted to show you guys. Since we talking about what we deserve and what people actually deserve, let's talk about reparations. Let me see. Let me pull this up real quick. Now, shout out to our sister D Tubman, because I want to talk about, hold on, no. Now, she had this on Twitter. Check this out. Now, this is from, let me see. This is from the South Shore School. This was today. Okay. Check this out.
Let's go, young brother. Listen to the youngster. Listen to the youngster.
I'm wondering, why didn't they move it to the Hispanic community?
That's what I'm talking about.
None. Look at him. Keep going.
See, listen. He said last year our car get broken. What I'm gonna play it again. But I keep saying the people breaking into cars. How many people are in here from Chicago? Y'all tell me I'm lying. When I say that these people keep breaking into cars, all of a sudden we didn't have a car crisis like this, and all of a sudden, right around it, let's do the math. Right around the time they started coming over here, which was like last year in August, you see this flood of people's cars getting broken into. I'm telling you right now, my auntie's car got broken into. Not broken into, it got stolen. She found it it got stolen over like a couple days. She found it in a couple days. Okay. Everything in that car stripped out. All of the parts, tires, everything was stripped out. They do this, and then they take it back to their little shops and they sell it. They strip the cars, strip everything from the cars, and they go and sell it. I'm telling you, they do that. And everybody from Chicago, everybody in Chicago saying facts, 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 because they know it. And this little brother is talking about it. I want to play the whole thing again. I didn't even mean to interrupt him.
Let's go, young brother.
Why can't they go to the Hispanic community?
Listen to the youngster. Listen to the youngster.
I'm wondering, why didn't they move into the Hispanic community?
None.
Ah, damn. Hold on.
Let's go, young brother. Listen to the youngster.
Hold on. What I do?
Listen to the youngster.
I'm wondering, why didn't they move into the Hispanic community?
Not only did he, I know I'm interrupting a lot. I know I said I wouldn't do that. Not only did he say that, did you see how all of the black people around him reacted to that? They talking about black people. I'm going to be honest. Chicago got its problems. Black people in Chicago ain't all the way on code. But if you see all of that black and brown stuff, and I'm not talking about just Chicago, pretty much nationwide, all of that black and brown stuff is gone. That's over with. That's back during the stuff we was dealing with the black and the brown, and we all the same. Black people ain't on that no more. Not just in Chicago, damn near period. Anywhere you go, you don't see a large amount of black people sitting up there caping for this black and brown. This kid said that woman stood up and cheered like he just won something.
None. Look at him. Keep going.
What did you say? Last year, our car got broken in right down the street from the police training center. They took 30 minutes to get here, and they still didn't do nothing. 2 years ago, it was a fight in the alley. 2 men had guns. They were about to sue each other. They come here 30 minutes later after I said that I was lying. So I'm wondering, why they moving it over here? Why didn't they put it in get people with bad licenses?
Let me take it back. I know it's a little bit hard to hear.
So I'm wondering, why they moving it over here? Why didn't they put it in get people with bad licenses?
He's saying, why they move them over here? Why didn't they take them to where Lori Lightfoot lives? Let's be honest. These Democratic governors and elected officials, they talking about, oh, come on, it's a humanitarian crisis. We all got to put in. You ain't suffering. You ain't suffering. You ain't putting them over where you're staying at, but you putting them over where the black people staying at.
Avalon. Oh.
Not only, first off, shout out to this young brother. Shout out to him for saying this, right? And notice this stuff is coming from his heart. He feeling this. He got a paper in his hand. He barely looking at the paper. You know how some people, if they told, okay, get out there and say this, read this, he might have bullet points. He's not, I don't even see him looking at his paper. This means this brother is feeling every single thing he's saying. Everything he's saying, this man is feeling. It's coming from the chest. And not only that, all of the adults around is applauding and cheering this. Black people in Chicago ain't feeling this black and brown, nothing. And this happened, this is going on today, or this happened. It ended at 8 o'clock, so it technically ended like a half hour ago. But this happened today. he said, if y'all didn't hear, he said, we're struggling to get groceries, to keep groceries in the house, and they get free food. And then everybody's like, yeah, we sitting up there biting, chomping at the bit. Okay, we're sitting up there trying to make ends meet, eating hand over fist, struggling to bring groceries in the house for ourselves and the kids, and they get free food. We got to get up early in the morning and go to work every day so we can get a little bit of groceries, and they don't got to do nothing, and they get free food. Why the hell is that? That's what this kid is, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what this kid is talking about.
Woo! Yeah, man. Good brother, young brother.
Good evening. This is my grandson.
That shout out to you, grandma, because you raising the right one. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's an 11-year-old. She said he's an 11-year-old critical thinker. He recognizes the conditions of his communities, and that's the young spirit that we need. That is exactly the young spirit that we need. This kid, he came out there. He talked about the issues. He wasn't scared. He made perfect sense. If some of the stuff, if you guys can hear, some of the stuff it was difficult to hear, I understand. But he made perfect sense. He didn't even have to look. It's not like he was reading a book like, why do they get free groceries and we have to work for it? He was just, it was coming from the chest. He was feeling everything he was talking about. Okay. So black people in Chicago ain't feeling that nonsense at all. Hold on, let me stop that. Let me stop that. Okay. Now something else I wanted to show you guys. Something else, hold on, is this. Now, it's a little something, I don't know, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway, because I got my feelings about it. The last one I went to, I'm not gonna lie, when I told you guys about it on that Twitter space, it was some suspect things going on. But this is another town hall community event going on May 17th. Okay. And this is the robust plan for reparations. And this is supposed to be for Foundation Black Americans. And Brandon Johnson, now Brandon Johnson at this time is going to be the mayor of Chicago. Brandon Johnson is going to be sworn in on the 15th. And this is going to be taking place on the 17th. So this is going to be a couple days after. So Brandon Johnson, the mayor Brandon Johnson, is going to be there. And this is going to be a plan to get, I guess, a commission started up for reparations. All right. Now, and I told people that I would keep them informed, especially people from Chicago. Now, this will be taking place at the Malcolm X College in Chicago around 6:30 p.m. That's Wednesday. That's going to be Wednesday. That's not this Wednesday. Hold on. What Wednesday? Is that next Wednesday? That's a couple weeks from now. This a couple weeks from now. Not next Wednesday coming up, but the Wednesday after that. So if y'all want to let y'all voice be heard about reparations, since they send up there giving free resources out, I thought there's some, and it's free too. They said it's going to be food, and I don't know how much or whatever the case is. But if y'all got time, and if y'all want y'all to talk about reparations and what's going on with the community. But the thing is that I'm going to be honest, Brandon John, and I'm going to be there because they're talking about some things. I'm not feeling what they're talking about. I'm going to be honest, because last time I went, and I'm letting people know this because I told them I would keep them up to date about everything that's going on. Last time I went, I'm going to just be honest. They loved me. They were nice. They were polite. They were everything, and everything was everything. But they were saying some things that was not reparations. Universal basic income was one of the things that they were talking about, which I'm not gonna say I'm against necessarily. That's not reparations, though. See, what they're trying to do now is they're trying to build a commission on a false foundation of what reparations is. Because I went with some brothers and sisters. It was just a few of us, but me and some brothers and sisters, we went and we were hearing certain little things. I'm like, that's not because they were talking about the Evanston thing. If you guys know what's going on in Evanston, Illinois, which is like a suburb, I think like north side of Chicago. It's not in Chicago, but like upside, a little north of Chicago, where they're doing like housing grants and housing repair, and they're calling that reparations. They're on that type of stuff. They're on the stuff like, well, reparations, universal basic income, job training. They were talking about job training, so black men can get the job. I'm like, that's cool. I don't have nothing against that. That's fine. That's cool. Giving black men, getting them trained so they can, work in these construction jobs and giving them trades and all that stuff for free. Love it. Cool. Even what Evanston is doing, I'm not even tripping on what Evanston is doing. What my issue is that you guys are calling that reparations. That's not reparations. That's not at all reparations. So I'm be honest, when I went over there, and this is the first time I said anything about it publicly. When I went over there and everything, I was talking, and there was a circle of people, and we were all kind of just like spitballing ideas and stuff like that. I told them about this channel. I told them about what I do and everything. We exchanged information and all of that. And they said, you know what, that'd be cool, because we're starting a commission and we're getting everything together and what. Now, mind you, this was, when I said this was back in April. It was a few weeks ago. I said, because one of my brothers, I don't want to put him on blast, but a brother, the FBA brother, he was there, and we were talking about, what reparations is. And he said, we want real reparations, not like Evanston. And then the women, they were like, oh, no, don't talk down on Evanston. What Evanston is doing is great. That what Evanston is doing, they're the ones who really started this whole thing about reparations on a nationwide platform. Nobody was really talking about it on like a nationwide political platform before Evanston. Evanston is the first city to really do that. And then I kind of stepped in and I was like, okay, well, I mean, no disrespect to Evanston and no disrespect to what they doing. That's cool what they doing, but what they doing ain't reparations. So, and I said, we're going to get this thing straight. We have to have a thing where anything you guys do for black people, we're going to say yes to, but we're not going to say that's reparations, because then it becomes a thing where, they're all like, okay, well, if Evanston is reparations, then how about we'll have is a free lunch program. That's reparations in a way. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Free groceries, you know what I'm saying? Then it becomes that type of thing. Then it becomes reparations is a free bus ticket type thing. Then it becomes then what reparations is, that becomes kind of vague, what this is my form of reparations and all that stuff. Then they were talking about like layers of what reparations is. Okay, there's the reparative layer, there's the reprehensive layer, there's the restorative layer there. I'm like, y'all making this seem like this is I don't know. So I was kind of sitting up there like, well, let's just focus on cash pay, just the money of it. Let's just give the people the money. Because there was another sister, an older sister, she was there and she was retired. And when they were talking about jobs and everything like that, she was sitting up there saying like, hey, I don't want no job. She was a retired old lady who was in the neighborhood. She's like, I'm retired. I'm successfully retired. I'm not struggling like that. I don't apply for no basic income. And I'm not looking to go back to school, and I'm not looking for a job. So what's going on? She was kind of on the end, and I salute that. She was on that type of energy. So they was like, oh no, there's like layers. It was weird. It was weird how they were kind of doing it. Like reparation layers and like different like things. This is the first time I ever heard of it being structured like how it was. And I'm like, okay. She was like, but there is going to be a universal thing, and you can apply to that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're of the lineage, so you will get the check part. And then there's another thing that's gonna like, okay. So that's why I was like, I don't know if y'all just like really off or if this is some type of trick bag or something like that. Because and then they were saying stuff like descendants of African slaves and everything like that, but you're of the lineage. You have to be of a slave lineage, but you're a descendant of an African slave. So I'm all like, oh, let's work on the terms. So there's a lot of little things, and I ain't necessarily trying to bash or hate on anything, but there was a lot of little things, and I'm sitting up there like, I don't know. And I was talking to some of the people about it afterwards, and we was all on that type of page, like, what do you think of that? It was like, yeah, I wasn't feeling that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not hating it. So it's a lot of this stuff gonna pop around, you know, especially with the summer coming around and stuff like that. It's a lot of things going on in your neighborhood probably that's gonna like having reparations commissions or starting to form reparations commissions, and they're going to be going to the government because they're going to be wanting to get funded for it or whatnot. And it's up to us to be there to be all like, when they talk about Evanston, like, nope. Evanston is not reparations. No disrespect, that's not reparations. Food stamps, not reparations. In basic, universal basic income is not reparations. All this and that's not reparations. Okay, so that's this stuff. It's kind of funny style. It's a lot of that is funny style. You know what I'm saying? Say, I'm 61. I'm not looking for a job. Plan to retire. Yeah, to retire in a couple years. A lot. That's the thing. She would get reparations, right? Auntie, you would get reparations. You're not looking for a job, and you're not looking to go back to school. You want your check though. You deserve your check though. There's a whole lot of us who ain't looking to go back to school. We not looking for a job. We don't need universal basic income, but we still need a check. So I was like, I don't know about, like, it's a thing where they try to make it out to be this big complicated thing, so you can kind of get lost in the fine print. You can kind of slip up. They make this big thing and they fill this thing up with layers and words and chapters and volumes and all that, and they slip a little loophole in there that we're going to get finessed with at the end. My thing is this: less is more. Less is more. We don't need to do all that stuff. Shout out to our brother TBA. He already did a very I cannot say that word. I cannot believe it. He already did a comprehensive plan on what reparations around the board looks like, starting off with the check. We don't need to do all, we already got the plan. We already had the plan made. Don't worry about that. We already got the plan made. All y'all got to do is give us the money for it. That's it. That's all. So y'all watch out when that stuff happens in y'all neighborhoods and whatnot. Y'all pay attention to what's going on, because a lot of them will start having this. Going to be, I'm warning you guys, it's going to be a lot of different organizations and a lot of different nonprofits that are going to start reparations committees and reparations meetings and town halls and all that stuff. And they're going to say, what we need to do is the government needs to give our nonprofit some money so we can have a whole office space with AC and nice new furniture and all that stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a plan for reparations. Y'all watch out for that. It's about to be a whole lot of, I'm telling you, it's about to be a whole lot of that popping up. It's about to be that. All right. So that's why you be like, we don't need to do that. The Japanese didn't need all this comprehensive, all that stuff. They just cut the check for them. So we're just going to do what y'all did with the Japanese. We're just going to keep it simple. Less is more. That's it. Okay. Less is more. Cut the check. That's all. All that stuff, universal basic income. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. So it's some funny style stuff going on. As you said, you've been working since you was 15. I know you about to retire, and you about to be happy when you do, auntie. She about to be happy when she do. She don't need no universal basic income. And I can promise you she ain't going back to college. I can promise you she is not going back to school. She probably ain't buying another notebook, or maybe for her grandkids or something, but she ain't buying another notebook for herself. I can promise you. Not be damned if auntie sharpening a pencil. But y'all, family, follow me on my various social media pages, which is at Afro Elite on Instagram and at The Afro Elite on Twitter. Okay. Make sure you guys leave a subscribe to the channel. Okay. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any notifications. So, you know, this channel can continue to grow. We're making very, very good progress. Y'all make sure y'all hit those buttons, hit the like button, hit the share button, tweet this on Twitter, retweet this, post this on Facebook, whatever the case is. Make sure your family and friends get this message out, especially if you're from Chicago. Follow all the links and stuff like that is down in the description below as well too. So it's a lot of black people in Chicago kind of pushing back against this nonsense that's going on. So we about to see, it's about to be some big changes coming up. It's about to be some big changes coming up very soon. Now, with that being said, my brothers and sisters, I'm going to get out of here. And with that being said, B1 salute to every single last one of you all. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate every single last one of you guys, and I will catch you guys later.